Glantri has a reputation of being filled with vipers and backstabbers. The subject of today's video only solidifies that belief. Today we are talking about the House of Sirecchia, the ruling family over the province of Caurenze. These wizards are from Phaeacian stock and take their reputation for treachery up more than a few notches. They're known for their mineral wealth, beautiful architecture, and lovely selection of deadly poisons. Here the food tasters have food tasters. While politically powerful and economically well off, they are also one of the most despised groups in a nation of wizards. Not that that stops them from making all sorts of unholy alliances with the rest of the houses. Politics in Glantri make for strange bedfellows, and even stranger positioned corpses. Welcome to Mystara. I'm Mr. Welch, and I hope you like the taste of almonds. The Principality of Caurenze is located in the southwestern region of Glantri, bordered by three mountain ranges: the Silver Sierras, the Glantrian Alps, and the Caurenze Massif. There is no passage into Glantri from the west, making Caurenze situated in the middle of several box canyons. The only way in or out is through the bordering region of Blackhill. And considering that's one of Sirecchia's greatest rivals, it can lead to all sorts of tense situations crossing the border. The initial settlers of the region came from Thyatis, and while they stayed, Thyatis deemed the region a poor fit for colonization, and no further expeditions arrived. The area is rich with high-quality stone, especially marble, but transporting it outside the region can be difficult. There's also numerous other mineral deposits, gold in particular, and all the mineral resources makes Caurenze one of the richest principalities in Glantri. Don't think the other princes don't notice this. While the population is obviously Phaeacian stock, their proximity to other cultures has changed aspects of them, such as their dress and their city design. Due to the mineral wealth in the region, most buildings are made of stone, with high-quality marble being the preferred choice. Caurenzians prefer a fancier dress than Phaeacians, so their selection of attire is far more extravagant, complete with ruffs, high collars, and doublets. They like brightly colored clothing, and the more elaborate the design, the better. This is, of course, for the nobility and the gentry. The peasants get to wear white tunics and trousers, and they had better like it. Caurenze is famous for its borderline paranoia. Few people trust each other, and for good measure. Here, murder is a time-honored method of promotion, and the punishment for getting caught is more severe than the actual crime. People known for rising in social status are often well regarded, as the better you play the lethal game of Caurenzian politics, the more respect you earn. This also means more scrutiny from the people above them in society, but since nobody trusts anybody here, the more you're observed, the better your social standing. This is a place where murder for hire has a standard rate. Wanton murder isn't tolerated, but a rival wizard choking to death on crushed glass is an occupational hazard. What isn't tolerated is trying to rise above your station, especially by commoners. Those without magic have the benefit of being largely ignored if they keep their crimes between themselves. One who steps out of bounds with his violence or targets someone above them in social rank can expect no mercy. Murder in Caurenze is supposed to be subtle. Blatant crimes are frowned upon unless designed to send a very clear message. Even then, it will only be tolerated if people agree with the message. Beating a merchant to death because he wouldn't give you a discount gets you sent to the gallows. If the recently deceased had a thing for little children, it might see an increase in business for the killer. The nation isn't all vigilante justice and quiet assassinations. Still, compared to everywhere else in Glantri, it's practically the Wild West, with flying buttresses, pasta to die for, and some of the most picturesque villas in the known world. Remember to be on your best behavior and not rock the boat. That's how you get flushed out of the canals later. The ruling family of House Sirecchia is the Malapietra clan. As expected, this bunch of wizards has the highest turnover due to their impressive death rate compared to the rest of the nation. It's not to say that the family is constantly murdering each other. However, to say that the more paranoid you are, the longer you live isn't a falsehood either. Malapietras don't die of old age. Periaps of poison go for several times their standard value when you can find them, assuming they haven't been replaced with cursed versions. There's a reason why the Pragmati, Mystara's Assassin's Guild, got its start in Laini. That city is the principality's capital, and possibly the most impressive town in the nation outside of Glantri City. It's known for its marble facades, clean streets, and staggering amount of statuary that occupies its many plazas. Food is more expensive here as the region does not have a lot of agriculture, forcing them to import food from Blackhill, who takes great pleasure in taxing the hell out of anything entering Caurenze. The three most famous buildings in Laini are the Collegium Fabrum, the Circus Laini, and the Palazzi di Cefonti. The first is the preeminent engineering college of Glantri, on par with Clanskirad of Rockholm. Unlike the dwarves, the school mixes magical spells with advanced designs in its architecture. It's just as cutthroat as other Glantrian schools, just far more focused. The Circus Laini is unique compared to the other principalities, as Caurenze is the only area in Glantri that has open slavery. Most of the slaves are captured humanoids, and rather have them work in the fields or act as domestic servants. A good number of them serve as gladiators. Few survive, but some do earn their freedom. The circus keeps the masses happy, which keeps the prince alive. Lastly is the Palazzo di Sifonti, which is a masterpiece in magical architecture. Carved from a single gigantic piece of marble, using spells, the building serves as the location of governmental agencies like the courts. The palace is a thing of beauty, known for its elaborate carvings covering the outside and a good chunk of the interior halls. Prince Innocente di Malapietra has survived in his role for almost 20 years, which is impressive considering he's not even 40. He is called Nero by those who know him and is a living example of the phrase, "It is better to be feared than loved." He understands the first part of having a long life as the Prince of Caurenze is to keep the people below him happy, which explains all the gladiatorial events he holds. If someone impresses the crowd enough, the prince will occasionally grant the gladiator his freedom, and give him 24 hours to leave Caurenze before he changes his mind. The prince is the oldest member of his family, at least those currently living in Laini. After obtaining the princedom, all of his older relatives developed rather sudden cases of death. He is the current master of the secret craft of earth elementalism, and somehow not alchemy, from all the different concoctions he knows. He loves all things artistic and views himself as a Renaissance man. And it's not an inaccurate boast. He is a talented musician, artist, and sculptor, something that even his enemies can't deny. He's also a highly skilled poisoner, which his still living enemies know. He has multiple rivals, and his few allies are the ones that think they can use Innocente's political and economic power and not anger him enough to get bumped off. Giovanni is the older brother of Innocente, which contradicts the previous claim about all the older members of the family being poisoned, which was precisely one paragraph higher in the Glantri book. He is a wizard and the commander of the Laini garrison. Here, Giovanni rules over the troops like a tyrant, punishing anyone who displeases him, even if the error is his. He avoids his brother's gaze by staying in his fort and concentrating all his attention on the men he was appointed to command. He's no fool, he knows his brother wishes him dead, so Giovanni is constantly plotting for Innocente's demise. If all else fails, the brother will use his troops to stage a coup, if the opportunity arises. Letizia is Innocente's wife and absolutely terrified of her husband. She knows that she's only alive because he allows it. Letizia has no magical powers of her own, so she's not even considered a noble by Glantrian law. She wants to escape with her son Bartolomeo and has been offered sanctuary by Lady Juliana of Villarduin. Her son is well aware of her plans to flee and despises her for it, but knows his survival is dependent on her. If she were out of the way, his two uncles wouldn't hesitate to remove him as Innocente's heir. And I don't mean just depose him. For now, Letizia bides her time and waits for the right moment to escape. Agostino is the youngest brother in the Di Malapietra family, and he's just as poison-happy as his siblings. He is aware that he is the fourth in line to the throne, so he has some work to do. He must eliminate his brothers and nephews, and has to do it in a specific order. Remember, you get noticed quickly if you try to jump up too much at once. You have to remove your rivals in a particular order, otherwise it's just rude. Innocente knows of his brother's intentions. Well, he doesn't know exactly what they are, but he's paranoid enough to have guessed correctly. The guy has a lot of theories about Agostino's plans. One of them just happens to be the right one. So the prince has made his younger brother the Viscount of Yulern, on the western border of New Aveyron. The power play has kept both men alive for now, but it hasn't stopped their plans to kill each other. Lucrezia is the only sister of the prince, and she serves as the official representative in Glantri City. Of course, she's also angling for his throne. Di Malapietra's family reunions must be one of the most stressful events in the known world. While she's not as murdery as her brothers, she's trying to gain political power to have Innocente removed for whatever reason she can come up with. Failing to have him proven treasonous, insane, or incompetent, she will resort to kidnapping his son and just try for good old-fashioned blackmail. She really isn't that picky. Grisco Fulvino is the Viscount of Verrazzano and the prince's favorite spy. He has developed quite a few spells involving shape-shifting, so he is good at his job. Right now, his assignment is to spy on Agostino to see if he's conspiring with the Thracians to remove Innocente. Whether Fulvino finds this information or decides to remove Agostino and report back a well-crafted lie the prince will accept remains to be seen. It depends on what Fulvino thinks he can get out of the situation. Antonio di Taranto is Innocente's go-to guy when it comes to poison. The Viscount of Castelbiano has a poison for every need. He's capable at his task, great at covering his tracks, and strangely enough, one of the few men the prince trusts. He has taken over the Thugs Guild after the previous leader developed an arsenic allergy all of a sudden. He controls that group of leg breakers to enforce the prince's will, and even better, he does it from the shadows. No one is the wiser that there's been a leadership change with the thugs, and he's not about to correct them. Harold Hoskins is possibly the only person loyal to the House of Sirecchia that isn't a total villain. He's only loyal to the prince because he was promised support in acquiring the upcoming principality in Sablestone. He's far enough away from Sirecchia not to draw the prince's suspicions. Hoskins is a genuinely nice man who wants to be left alone for his research. He is a member of the Brotherhood of Rad and bears scars from his research. Most people are surprised to find out that he's a vassal of such a murderous family. That's the House of Sirecchia. They are a fantasy version of the Borgias, only with fireballs. You can't trust them, and if you're invited over for dinner, fill up on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches beforehand. Next up is a deep dive into Darrican's military. How does the nation of Coin defend itself? When words fail, they reach for the pike. Until then, enjoy the wine.